Hey guys, on episode 25, I bring to you John Canlas. He's from the Bay Area. He's a registered dietitian and he's also a nutrition and diet coach. Please help me welcome John Canlas. Hi, Sir
Hello.
John. How are you
Hello.
doing?
How are you? Happy Sunday.
Happy New Year. Happy Sunday.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I know you got sick too, right? So we both got sick pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, I got COVID maybe 2 weeks ago. Um, I didn't really feel anything.
Oh,
It's
you
just
didn't?
no, I just maybe slight sniffles, but that's about it. I was okay.
I
Yeah.
had mild symptoms from
Mm,
chills to a little bit of a cough. I still have a little bit of a cough,
mm.
but it was mostly chills for me. And
Oh,
yeah, I didn't have the sniffles either.
oh, I
But
see.
yeah, and I feel like at that time I had mild fever. Those were my symptoms.
Oh, I had sniffles mainly, but it was gone after like 2 days.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Well, so I bring you in here for an interview because we actually met in one of the Facebook groups,
Yeah.
right? And that's how it started. I got interested because you are a registered dietitian, and
Yep.
I'm so curious about Filipino diet, the American diet, and what you think about all of these. So,
Yeah,
um, I'm so happy that you said yes when I asked you if I can do an interview with you. So to start off, Sir John, do you speak Tagalog by any chance?
a little bit. Yeah, mostly speak English though. Yeah.
But do you understand when I ask you in Tagalog, or you don't?
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Okay, we're gonna give it a shot for some of
Okay.
these.
Okay.
Were you born here or were you born in the Philippines?
I was born in Philippines, but I came here when I was just a little kid. So most of my life, more than half of my life has been spent here in America along with my brother. So but maybe like I got here when I was 11. Yeah, 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you know how to speak a little bit of Tagalog and you can understand.
Yeah, I went to like second, first, second, third, and fourth grade in the Philippines, and then from fifth grade all the way up, I've been here.
Gotcha. And I mentioned that you're from the Bay Area. He actually lives pretty close to me. Like it's not that far.
We're
So
probably 10 minutes
about
away.
10 minutes away from each other. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
the second thing I was curious about is so you are a registered dietitian. Why did you pick that career path? Was there something that triggered it or were you always interested in living healthy?
The reason why I wanted to pick it because it was in the healthcare industry, and I wanted to kind of like have a stable job right out after college, and my parents and people around me wanted me to become a nurse, and the more they forced me, the more I didn't want to because they kept saying, "Oh, it's stable, you'll make money. You know how." It's stable, you'll make money, and you can after that you can always do this. And the more they forced me, the more I didn't want to go. And when I found out that dietitians made, pretty good salary, not as much as nurses, but just enough to make a living, I became curious with it, and I also wanted to, you know, lead a healthy life because a lot of dietitians do lead a healthy life. It's not as stressful as nursing, even though nursing makes
Yeah.
more money.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to be a nurse. A lot of Filipinos around me, oh, be a nurse, but I know my personality. I don't want to go what the group says. So if a bunch of Filipinos want to be a nurse, I wanted to be something different. And the more they
Oh,
told me to become a nurse, the more I didn't want to be a nurse. So
right.
being a dietitian made me stable, having a stable job and be in healthcare and kind of like having that knowledge on how to eat well and still have a healthy life, which is why I wanted to be a registered dietitian.
Nice. Have you personally eaten healthy? Like, do you have that history that you've always tried to eat healthy at least?
Yeah.
And then is your family also following your lead? Are they eating healthy?
Well, ever since when I was in high school, I've always wanted to uh, gain weight because when I was a kid and as like a teenager, they would always call me payatot, which is very very
Skinny.
skinny, yeah, skinny. So I didn't want to be called like that, so I went to, like, Google, and I went to the internet sites and tried to search like what's how to eat healthy so I can build muscle, and all that kind of led into wanting to be interested when it comes to healthy living and exercise and all that stuff. When I was a kid, maybe 8, 9, I was never really conscious about what I eat. Only when I got to like 17, 18, 19 did I realize how powerful it is to eat healthy and take care of yourself. A lot of people don't do that, and my family does not follow what I do. But whatever I tell them, it doesn't stick because when your kids tell you something, it's different. Like
Right, right.
when your kid or when your son or your daughter tells you something, you don't listen to them because you're the mom, and that's how always it's been explained to me. So they don't listen. So I just try to show my actions on how I would eat, and if they follow, great. If not, I mean, you can't force them at the end of the day. So
Let's talk about working for a hospital. I believe that you worked for Sutter Health.
yep, yep,
You also worked for this jail in Stockton.
yep.
And as you mentioned, it was kind of like a jail, but also a hospital for
Hmm.
mental health. So, how was that like? So now you chose the career path of being a registered dietitian, but
Yeah,
now you're actually planning meals for an entire building,
yeah.
right? Or kind of like at least contributing to
Yep.
people eating healthy. It's your responsibility to ensure that everybody eats according to what you think is healthy. So how
Yeah.
was that like?
So working in prison is very interesting. Most people don't know that prisons have dietitians, and we take care of the nutrition part of the side. The law requires us that prisoners have nutritious meal because if they don't, it's regarded as cruel and unusual, and it's not
Right.
within their rights to have an unhealthy meal. And then I was talking to my friends and how lucky it is for prisoners to be here because I was comparing them. Then the prisoners in Philippines don't get this. They don't get
They don't.
yeah, prisoners in Philippines, they don't get dietitians to take care of them.
Oh,
you know?
you know
s-
what? I have no idea. I had
Yeah.
no idea. So it's good to know that this is something important as well, right? Because we want to
Yeah.
take care of our Filipinos. Even though they're in jail, they're still part of the nation, right? They're
No, I'm talking about like
citizens.
the Filipinos in the Philippine prison system. It's not as comprehensive as it is here in America. So when we take care of them, we have specialized diets for prisoners. Sometimes diabetic diet, which is a carb control diet, a heart healthy diet for individuals that have heart disease, or if they have kidney disease, we have the renal or the kidney diet. Uh, Kidney diet to help them control their chronic kidney disease. So it's a bunch of different diets catered to a specific medical condition. So and it's very nutritious. We're required to deliver healthy meals for inmates, and on top of that, if they wanted to, they can request a one-to-one conversation with a dietitian, so that way we can talk to them and we can assess them how they can navigate their health while being in prison.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I hope the Philippine government is listening or can watch this. Take care of our prisoners too. I
Yeah.
don't know if we have the budget to hire our
It's
dietitian in the
expensive.
Philippines.
It's
It
expensive.
must be
Yeah.
expensive, but it must, it's an idea, diba?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
perhaps we can look into it when we have the budget, and then we can take care of our prisoners better as well. Let's be frank about Filipino diets,
Hmm.
right? What do you think about Filipino diet, Sir John? A lot of people say it's unhealthy, and that's why
Hmm.
we have people having hypertension, diabetes, right? And so, what do you think, honestly, about Filipino diet?
I think Filipino diet, just like any other diet for any culture, whether it's Japanese, Chinese, Thai, Indian, they have their good and bad. And, if you think about it, Rose, the Filipinos here in America versus the Filipinos in Philippines, the Filipinos here are bigger. And that's not because their genes are their genes change from Philippines to America. It's a result of them eating more. Typically,
Right.
Filipinos here, if you notice, they grow taller and they grow wider, so the height and weight goes up. The obesity rate in Philippines is around 5%, while the obesity or the overweight and obesity here in America is close to like 60 to 70%. So that
Oh my
means
gosh. Yeah.
it's a lot. A lot more Filipinos here are overweight and obese, and it's not the food, it's the amount of food that the Filipinos here in America eat. It's not necessarily the food, because we have the same food. It's just the amount that we eat. Instead of three lumpias, they get 20 here for the Filipinos, you know? And food here compared to to Philippines is much cheaper, and we have more buying power, right? This
Right,
is the
right.
land of opportunity, and we take advantage of that by eating more. And Filipino culture is such the center around one of the centers for Filipino culture is food. So we like to
Right.
celebrate with food, we like to give food, we like to eat. In Philippines it's like that, but since Filipinos in Philippines, they don't have a lot of buying power when it comes to food, it's not the same. So, when you say, is Filipino diet healthy, there's a lot of healthy uh, Filipino food. The problem is what's popular here in America are the dishes that are really greasy. Crispy pata, lumpia, Jollibee,
A-
and Seafood
Adobo,
City, adobo, adobong baboy, you know,
liempo.
liempo. Those are popular. In Philippines, they don't eat those every single day, right?
Right, right.
It's cheap. It's not as affordable compared to America as it is over there. So
So there's a relation as to the access also to food, and then the capability of buying so much as well, right? And then
yeah.
sa atin, hindi ka masyado nakakabili kasi nga limited din yung income sometimes for other
Hmm.
families, right? So there's
Yeah.
a direct relationship. What about the American diet? So I know that I've lived here for I think 14 years, and you've been here a while. And so,
Hmm.
what do you think about the American diet, about the fast food, about the deep fried food, and then there's all these buffets, and you know how it is. So
Yeah, yeah.
everywhere there's fast food chains.
Those type of things, they're unavoidable. Food, even in American culture, it's gonna be a center for a lot of things. And as far as American diet, like the things you mentioned um, are central to people's lives, whether you're Filipino or not.
Hmm.
A lot of the things that you see here are convenience foods, like the KFC, Jollibee, and a lot of people like that because they're quick, they're tasty, they're probably not best for you if you eat it all the time. And what the American diet is, typically when you ask someone, they'll say pizza, burger, fries, pasta. And there's nothing wrong with those, Rose. But again, I come back to the portion sizes because those foods are served in Philippines too, like the KFC, McDonald's.
Yes,
But the difference is the portion. Like if I went to Philippines over like 2 years ago before the pandemic, I was really surprised when I went to the Jollibee there, how much smaller the portions are. If you go to
yes,
Philippines, Jollibee and the Jollibee here, the Chicken Joy here is big. Here in America,
yes,
the Chicken
yes.
Joy in Philippines, it's smaller. Everything there is
Right.
smaller.
Everything is
So
smaller. I agree. Yes.
yeah, and that's why they weigh less. you know?
Alam mo, segue ha, walang connection sa ano. I hope you can understand me. Wala siyang connection sa diet, but one of the things when I got here that surprised me as well is the amount of tissue paper, ketchup, and all these things that they give you here in the US.
Yeah,
Alam mo yun, yung para kang bibigyan ng isang, alam mo yun, na
it's a
ang
bunch.
dami. Yes, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just by myself. Alam mo yun, na parang sayang, ang daming aksaya.
Yeah.
And so parang I felt bad because sa atin, tipid na tipid, one piece of tissue paper, isang
Hmm.
pirasong ketchup. And yet here, they give you like 15 pieces of ketchup and a whole bunch of napkins that you won't even use, right? It's such a waste.
This is a place of abundance, which is why Filipinos that are older, 40s, 50s, 60s, when they come here, you know, they like to eat a lot. They like to eat a lot and they gain weight. Even it happens to my mom, my dad, my relatives. So it's no surprise when people come here. Most of the time they gain weight, not for healthy reasons. They don't put on muscle; they put on fat. And since we live in a country of abundance, as opposed to Philippines, it's really interesting.
I don't know what the rule is on in the Philippines, like on buffets, but another thing that I noticed here is you know how people would cook a lot, right, for the buffet, for
Yeah,
businesses that have buffets,
yeah,
and then at a certain point, like say for example, they close at 7, they have to get rid of all the food because I guess it's not healthy. Can you
yeah.
imagine all those food wasted? And I was talking to my family, like my dad, na I was saying na my gosh, sayang yung mga pagkain. Ang daming mahihirap. Ang daming homeless people na nasa kalye. Alam mo yun, na walang provision sa mga ganun, na pwede naman siguro na half a price or libre na lang or may pila sa labas. I don't know. But I feel like, oh my gosh, andito yung percentage ng tao na gutom, homeless, andito naman 'tong mga buffet na nag-aaksaya lang, nagtatapon lang ng food. And I don't know how to resolve it, na pakainin yung mga gutom gamit 'tong mga buffet na naaksaya. But I don't know, it's just something that bugs the heck out of me
Well,
because,
I can
you
explain
know,
that. I can explain
okay,
that. So, one of the reasons why restaurants and fast foods do that is because of health regulations. If a food has been sitting out there for a long time, and they're not, no one's eating them, if you were to give it to someone, let's say a homeless or someone that actually needs food, they don't necessarily have to be homeless. That company is risking themselves in being
right,
sued because if
right,
they give someone that makes them sick, they could potentially sue that company. It's like, hey, you gave me food that made me sick. I'm gonna sue you now.
exactly,
And here in America, you can sue everyone here, left and right.
yes.
So that's
So
another reason too. So
So that's the other thing. I wanted to touch on that because there's so many people here that they fear of getting they're scared of getting sued.
yeah,
Because anyone can sue anybody. So that's the other thing. I'm just saying, like, oh my goodness. I mean, we've had food sitting like for the whole day, right? And it's still good. And I know that for a fact that it's good. Unless
yeah,
somebody puts something bad on it, then
yeah,
it
yeah,
probably will turn bad. But
yeah,
ayun lang, parang napansin ko lang, nakakahinayang lang, na nakakaawa.
yeah.
Alam mo yun?
Especially if you come from a culture that doesn't like to waste food. But
Yes,
here in
and our
but
culture, Philippine culture, right?
yeah, because we don't grow up with an abundance, especially if you're older. But if you were born here and raised here and you don't know uh, that food is hard to get by, you won't think that. But if you're coming from
Yes,
Philippines and you're older and you value food, that you feel bad throwing it away because you had a hard time when you were growing up in Philippines, you have a different mindset. So I understand
right,
where both sides is coming from, but
right.
since we live in America, we have to play by their own rules, and part of the rule is we throw food away even if it's good.
I know. Just between you and I and all the audience, do you have cheat days too? Because I know you probably eat healthy, but do you have that day wherein you feel like, this is my cheat day? I'm going to have that cake.
Mm. So how I view cheat days is cheat days to me don't exist. Part of the thing that I tell my clients is like, hey, when it comes to cakes, cookies, and ice cream, I want to make sure you include that as part of your nutrition or diet because
Mhm.
I don't want you to feel like you're depriving yourself day to day without having the treats that you like. And actually, when you try to lose weight and you incorporate the things that you like, let's say cake, brownies, cookies, or anything like that, they stick to it more. And when you have those things that you enjoy on a regular basis, you're more likely to stick because sometimes you get cravings or
Mhm.
you get really tempted to eat cookies or chicken joy or whatever it is. But if you include it regularly, whether once or twice a week, even in small portions, it helps you control your cravings. So I do
Mhm.
my best to not to tell my clients to not have cheat meals because at the end of the day they have to be able to control themselves in the long run even after they work with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so What do you think, or what have you found to be the most effective when it comes to losing weight? Is
Mm.
there a secret that we should reveal? What is the most effective way in losing weight? Is it exercising really? Is it keto diet? Is it just going to the gym maybe, or doing a certain kind of sport? What have you found to be effective?
When I talk to a lot of Filipinos, especially older ones, they think exercise is the key. And while that exercise is important, majority of your weight loss, about 80 to 90%, will come from nutrition or how much you eat. When you run for 10 minutes, it might just burn 100 to 100 calories. But if you avoid eating 100 to 200 calories, it takes you less than 10 seconds to not eat a piece of cookie. So less than 10 seconds of not eating something that you like, or 10 minutes of running. So which one is more efficient, right? So
Gotcha.
and the best diet is really the one that you can stick to in the long term, because even in the Facebook groups, a lot of people want to do keto, a lot of people want to do fasting, and realistically Filipinos can't stick with that in the long term because we love rice and we love carbs. There's no way you can have keto and be Filipino. It's just it's going to be extremely hard for you. And then fasting does help you lose weight, but again, I come back to the topic of sustainability, which is what my Facebook group is: sustainability, fit and healthy. Because if you can't sustain it 1, 3, 5, 7 years from now, how can you ever maintain your progress, right? So it might work for your keto or your fasting might work for 3, 6, 9 months, but you still have the next 20 years to keep it up. And what happens
Right.
after that? What happens after your diet? You can't diet for the rest of your life, so you need good habits to establish that. So that's what I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, we're tackling about keto diet, right?
Hmm.
We're in keto diet. There's such a thing as a dirty keto, wherein you can eat like your liempo, just as long as you don't eat rice, and you can eat
Yeah.
like a lot of your protein with fats, right?
Okay.
So, what do you personally think about the keto diet?
Keto can really get out of hand because from what I've read and from what I know, keto is basically taking out anything that has carb sources and just focusing on proteins, fats. And one thing that's really risky about that is your cholesterol might go up, your your triglycerides in your blood might go up. And if you do a dirty keto and you're just trying to lose weight, you might lose weight, but your health might suffer because you're eating a lot of fried foods, bacon,
Gotcha.
liempo, and it's not really sustainable for you in the long run, because eventually you can't just eat liempo at 60, 65 years old all the time and still be considered healthy. There's just no way. So you have to have a balance of the things that you like, or and then the fruits and vegetables, and then having like the carb, like the rice, bread and stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's really what it is about. It's really about sustainability. And the problem is, in our society, people want quick results. People want it like that, right off the bat. We live in an
Right.
instant world. Amazon, Instagram, everything is
Yeah.
instant. DoorDash. It doesn't. It we don't want to work for it sometimes, which is part of the problem. But the thing is, to make it long lasting, you have to work for it. There's no other way around it. So
So you mentioned about DoorDash, right?
yeah,
It's so easy to just
yeah,
order food.
very easy.
Um, so now we have access to just calling and having them deliver food.
Yeah.
So instead of going in the kitchen and making it and preparing a dish that can be healthier. So what do you think about this? The technology about having access to like DoorDash and Instacart.
So DoorDash and Instagram, they're wonderful technologies. I really have nothing against them, but um, when taken too far, like when you order your fast food or anything that you like, it does make it bad. It makes it hard for you to, or not make it hard, but it's not when you do too much of it, it's probably not good. Like just like everything else in life, right? So it is really up to the individual, like you and I, to have self-control and discipline, because you can't just say my cravings control me, or I can't control myself, because there's nothing worse than telling yourself I can't control myself. I don't have control myself, because that's really bad. So you really have to take little steps, which is where I come in. I help my clients build those habits so you can have self-control after you work
Right.
with me, so you can have sustainable results after you work with me, right? So that's what I think of it.
There's a question from one of my friends, and she's
Mm,
asking how much food should you take to be able to maintain your weight?
mm,
And then this follow-up question is to lose weight.
to
And
lose
I
weight.
think she's asking about maybe calories wise, like how much food in terms of calories should
Right.
she take to maintain or lose weight?
Your friend, it really depends. Like I'd have to know how much she weighs, he or she weighs, the age, and what kind of physical activity this person does, because it's highly dependent. For someone that's a 30-year-old that's working out every single day versus another 30-year-old who doesn't do anything, it can really be variable.
Let's just say she's 50 kilos, right? And
Mm.
then maybe she's about 35 years old. How about that?
So does she work out all the time, or does she just mostly desk
No,
job?
just walking.
Walking for how much?
Let's just say 3 times a week. Let's just say. I don't know.
Three
I'm
times
just
a week.
kind of like thinking about her lifestyle.
How tall is she?
I'd say maybe 5'1".
So for her to not gain weight, she would have to eat about 1,359 calories, which is not a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100,
Wow.
1,300. To lose weight, yeah, she has to eat less than that. So less than that is not a lot, which is
Right.
why I encourage people, if they're eating this this calorie 1359, I really encourage people to, you know, exercise, because that'll make them, burn more calories. That'll make them feel better. It'll help them control their appetite, and exercise is just
Oh,
good for you overall. But your
yeah.
friend, if she wants to maintain her weight, and is this a close friend of yours?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay, if she sticks to mostly fruits and vegetables and lean protein, which is like baked chicken, grilled fish, once in a while chicken joy, she can never go wrong with that one.
Oh,
So
that's good.
yeah.
Thinking about fibers, I never really understand. Like, what are
Mm,
fiber foods? And then when they say eat whole grain,
mm,
what are
yeah.
those?
So fiber is basically what is the component of a plant, like malunggay, okra, eggplant. The thing that makes them a plant, the structure,
Oh,
is the fiber. Um, so when you eat vegetables, they the thing that makes them look like a vegetable are the plant fibers. Um,
okay.
Oatmeal, uh, squash, potatoes, that makes them like that is the fiber itself. And you need fiber to help you control your, like, if you're wanting to have regular bowel movement, you want to have, more fiber, and to help you control your cholesterol too. If you're getting older, if you have high cholesterol, you want to have a lot of fruits and vegetables because they contain a lot of fiber. And all fiber comes from plants. So the more plant-based, the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the more fiber you're gonna consume.
What about the whole grain? When people say eat whole grain instead of this, what does that mean?
Whole grain is basically when you take brown rice and you take out the brown part. The part has all the nutrients in it.
Oh, okay.
When they strip the brown rice and turn it to white rice, they're taking a lot of the fiber and all the nutrients out. There's
Mm,
nothing wrong with white rice as long as you mix it up with plenty of fruits and vegetables. There's
right.
nothing wrong with whole grains too, like brown rice and whole grain bread, because they have the nutrients and the fiber that are good for you. So white rice, brown rice. I know a lot of people like to eat. People say brown rice is better for you, but it's not. It's usually just whichever you prefer. As long as your whole diet you include a lot of fruits and vegetables and and lean protein, you'll be good 80 to 90% of the
Oh, I'm getting a lot from these. I think I'm gonna be skinny next week.
time.
What do you think about food portioning? Because I do this a lot.
Mm,
So what I do is like when I have work, I would choose like a small Tupperware for my
mhm.
lunch, and that way I don't have any choice but to eat just that, And then you know what they say, like when say you go to a restaurant and
Yeah.
you don't really eat everything on your plate and you just bring it home. So it's
Hmm.
again, it's food portioning. What do
Yeah.
you think about these strategies?
The strategy that you have is actually good because it helps you control your portions and it helps you stick with it. Like going to eating with a smaller plate. If that helps you, then you should definitely do it because that'll help you control your portion. That portion, as we talked about earlier, like the portion of Jollibee in Philippines and America, it's
Yeah,
vastly different. So if you control your portions, you're gonna solve a lot of your issues when it comes to weight. Problem
yeah,
is here in America, every portion here is huge. If you go to Olive, it's true. Every portion here is huge. If you go to Olive Garden, if you go to Jollibee here, everything is huge and they give you a lot of food, which is why Filipinos here are, generally speaking, they're more overweight and they're taller because we're feeding them more food. So portion
right.
that strategy is great actually.
So, we also talked about yung mga party-party, right? Yung mga pasalubong, yung alam mo yun, yung magbabaon ka.
Yeah,
Pagkatapos ng party, common na po dito sa Amerika, yung meron kang
to go back.
mga to-go box, di po ba? So,
Yeah.
part yun ng kultura natin dahil we overcook, we overprepare, and then here are the guests having to-go boxes, 3 to 4 po yun na, hindi lang isa. Minsan 3 to 4 po na to-go
Yeah.
boxes to bring
Yeah.
with you. And
Yeah.
siguro andun kasi yung concept na sayang na naman yung mga
Mm,
food.
mm,
Iniisip ko, eh alam mo naman pala na nag-over-prepare ka. Bakit di mo binawasan yung ano para wala nang iuwi yung mga tao?
mm.
But then again, it's part of our culture.
That is part of the culture because we want to be giving. We want to make our guests feel good, so that's why we give them leftovers. But it is up to the individual to take food or not take food because you can control
Yes.
yourself. So when I go to Filipino parties, I personally don't take food because I always have food at home. But I know people are most Filipinos are not like that because they don't think like me. And 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 when you get a lot of food, like you just bring more temptation in your house. And if your goal is try to lose weight, I can bet you majority of the food that is in that party, it's very greasy. Kare
Yeah.
kare, lumpia, you know, uh, anything that's really greasy Filipino food, they have it there. So it doesn't really help me in the long run to control myself and have better portions.
Eh, ang sasarap naman kasi talaga. Aminin naman natin, 'di ba? Lalo na kung may sawsawan, Sir John. 'Di ba,
Yeah,
ang liempo 'pag sinawsaw mo dun sa ano, alam mo na yung mga
it is good, and I like that. So it is up to you as an individual to take some responsibility. Say, hey, I've had too much kare kare or lumpia. I need to stop after like 4 or 5, not like eat 20 and like take 30 more. It is up to you
right,
as an individual to control yourself because even though I'm helping people, you still have to put the work in. If I tell you you stop at 5 lumpia and you're eating 20, then there's a reason why you're doing that. So my job is to help you figure out why you're doing that. Is it because you're depriving yourself? Is it because you're really hungry? And when you tell me those answers, then I can figure out how to help you strategize in the long term. Maybe eat more
right.
before you go to a party.
For my very last two questions,
Hmm.
'di ba sinasabi nila the breakfast is the most important part of the day?
Hmm.
Pero there's also that intermittent fasting. 'Di ba?
Hmm.
It kind of contradicts each other. Like ako,
Yeah.
minsan nagfa-fasting ako, ang una kong meal is lunch. But
Hmm.
then a lot of people are saying, hindi ba importante yung breakfast? Yun yung notion sa atin. Yun din yung kultura sa atin bilang Pilipino na lagi tayong pinapakain ng mga lola natin ng breakfast. Wag na wag kang
Yeah.
papasok ng school kung hindi ka nakakain.
Hmm.
At masama yun na masama yung empty yung sikmura mo.
Hmm.
Paano ka makakapag-aral? Paano ka makakapag-isip sa school? Di ba? Yun yung
Hmm.
notion.
Yeah. So, as far as fasting, I'm not sure why people fast because it's a way for them to control their how much they eat, right? People fast to control how much they eat. At the end of the day, there's nothing magical about skipping meals. You actually, if you think about it, are you able to fast for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Most people don't. Most people don't fast that long. They only fast for a couple months, maybe a year. After that, they go back to their old habits. And they are right when they say breakfast is important because if you don't eat enough in the daytime, you're more likely to binge at night. Late night snacks, late night
Mm,
snacking. If people do that, most of the time is because they didn't eat enough in the daytime. Sometimes it's breakfast because many of my clients don't eat breakfast. They just drink coffee, and it's really bad because it sets you up for failure later in the day. So
oh,
intermittent fasting, there's nothing magical about that. If you eat less than what your body needs, you will lose weight. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you not eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack. As long as you eat less than what your body needs, technically you will lose weight. It's important to have breakfast because it sets you up. You don't get hungry later in the day. Because if you get really, really hungry, the chances are you might binge later in the day. You might get four-piece meal at Jollibee or something like that. And
okay. Sir John, yung nutrition program ninyo, do you want to talk about it at this point?
yeah, yeah. So I do offer one-to-one coaching programs for individuals that need help to mostly they want to lose weight, but they also want to take back control of their health, have more energy. Because sometimes when you don't eat well, you don't have energy, and sometimes with the COVID thing, they've kind of lost control of their health. So I help them get back to it. I offer one-to-one for people that are ready to do what it takes to get back into their health and lose weight, or if they have diabetes, I can also help them. So I have that. They can reach me through my Facebook, or if
Okay,
they have an Instagram. I also accept health insurance. So if you have Aetna or if you have Medicare, I might be able to help you free or at a reduced cost. So, yeah,
right. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Sir John. It's been a pleasure having you here. And I
thank
know
you.
that you're so super busy, but pinasok mo ko sa schedule mo. And so I appreciate it's an honor having you here on Miss DJ Lee's channel. I'm sure everybody has learned a thing or two from us today, especially from you.
Yeah.
And so, do you have any last tip or advice to all the audience? They're all Filipinos mostly. Maybe some would watch this also and they're non-Filipinos. Do you have any last tip or advice?
My advice is that if you've been trying to diet over and over again and nothing's working, you know it might be you might want to consider having like a registered dietitian, not just me, try to help you because we are the experts on nutrition and health and everything like that, right? Because if you've been trying to diet and nothing's working, maybe the do it yourself approach isn't working, right? So
Right.
that would be my advice. Another advice is if you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you can't go wrong with that. Automatically eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, if your goal is try to lose weight or maintain weight, chances are you will hit that goal because fruits and vegetables are naturally lower calorie and always going to be good for you.
And it's filling,
It's filling, yes.
nakakabusog, diba?
Busog. Hmm.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Sir
Thank
John.
you.
40 minutes, it's not so bad, di ba,
Not
sa
so bad.
target time natin?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I hope you enjoy your Sunday, sir, and I'll see you around
All right.
Facebook, YouTube, and guys, please follow John Canlas. If you're interested in his nutrition program, please give him a shout out in Facebook. Sir John, ano po yung social media ninyo for everyone?
Instagram, you can find me on Instagram called John Canlas RD. That's letter R, letter D. And then if you search Facebook, you just put my name, John Canlas. You'll see that. And soon, you'll see me on the 680 freeway next to the veranda. I have a billboard there coming up. I'm serious.
Yay! Oh,
I'm serious.
nice, nice.
So you'll
That's
see me
nice.
there. So more access for me. So I'm
Yeah.
everywhere now.
Okay, perfect. And good luck on your business, Sir John.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.